So welcome back to episode 2. I know that these things, I said they'd be monthly, but life gets in the way. I guess it's following more of a podcast, where things come up during the month and then eventually we get around to talking about it. A couple things I want to cover today, some big stuff that obviously happened in the news, but one thing I want to start with is, if you've noticed, I haven't really been on TikTok that much, and there's reason for that, which I'll get into. But if you want to start, engaging or seeing more content, I'll probably stick closer to just Instagram and YouTube. There's a lot going on in terms of the creator sector for what it means to be a content creator on Twitch, YouTube, whatever it may be. And I don't know if you've been following along, but basically both companies are screwing over their creators. Some of it is founded in reason, because you have a million people streaming and making YouTube content, that compensating all of those people it's difficult, and YouTube is changing their procedures in ways that are hurt. 1 second. YouTube is changing their procedures in ways that hurt big creators. So obviously, the people who are most vocal about it are the ones who make the most money, and within reason, sure. But that's neither here nor there. It affects like maybe 0.1% of people, the people who can actually make a living off of making content. So really, are we concerned about them? No, not really. But that leads me to my next thing, and that's talking about, Elon Musk buying Twitter, billionaires in general. I just want to preface this with, there is no good billionaire out there. There's a reason, that they accumulate so much wealth. And Elon Musk sort of entering this sphere of like taking over and trying to fix things is not good. It's not good for the general public. It's not good for Twitter. Not really sure why they're going through with it. Maybe it's has to do with funding or partnership possibility. It's tough to look at somebody who's like a billionaire and has taken advantage of so many people, especially in like Tesla factories, and be like a proponent or a cheerleader for that. And I get the idea of like promoting free speech, but at the end of the day, Twitter is a private company, or Twitter is its own company, so it can choose who and who not to let on the platform. And for example, banning Donald Trump wasn't out of we just don't want this guy to talk. It's that no, he literally incited riots and didn't condemn them, which I don't know about you, but I don't particularly want that person to have a voice, especially when they don't see the problem with what they're doing. It's textbook narcissism, and it is a problem. Anybody who's rooting for Elon Musk to take over and propose free speech, you have to remember where this guy's coming from, right? He started with the idea of free speech to get this rally behind him from all people, right? He started with catering to the left with his idea of sustainability and electric cars and space exploration or whatever. And then slowly, once he got that footing, started to shift back towards center/right, because he's talking about putting a leader back on a platform who most of his following would be considered right, so he's trying to get that following behind him. The problem is he's realizing that traditionally and stereotypically, those who support MAGA or Trump or whatever it is don't purchase electric cars. They believe in America first, oil first type mindset. And again, stereotyping, but that's kind of it's rooted in some ground. And he's realizing that they don't do that. So he's probably seeing less and less interest from that group. And now he's starting to come back and sort of on his most recent tweets talk about, how he's like, well, hold on. I think America just wanted less drama and they don't really need such a dramatic leader, again, hinting at Donald Trump. So all that is to say is you have to recognize that there's no good intention with buying Twitter. There's no I want to make sure free speech is a thing, and it's not. It's all a part of a personal agenda, whatever that may be, probably to get more backing to turn Tesla profitable, because they're not really a profitable company, and neither is SpaceX. The next thing I wanted to mention is I did sort of kind of take a step back from TikTok and realize, what the problem is with it. And this comes from another TikTok that I saw where it's bad. It's bad for a lot of reasons. It's funny, there's always gold. There's always good ones that go viral. But think about the lifespan of something that goes viral on TikTok. It's not long. And I was kind of browsing, and one day I came across someone's take on it where you're essentially training your brain to absorb 30 seconds, no more, no less, right? You can probably less. 30 seconds is all you can handle because you want the information, you want to scroll, right? That's obvious. But that starts to bleed into your everyday life. Like when you try to, read a book or read an article, you find yourself like, give me the gist of the article in the first couple sentences, because you can't absorb it the same way. So for personal reasons and just because I was noticing that I was trying to get out a video every day based on talking to someone who's a friend, who's a media manager, and I appreciate her guidance, but I don't want to be a part of that. So I don't think I'm going to use TikTok that much anymore. I barely even browse it just to look. I've noticed that my mental health is a lot better just from not absorbing so much content in so little time. And, you see things on there that can be disturbing or whatever it may be. And a lot of political pundits who think they have the idea of what's going on and promote their own personal agenda. So again, this all depends on your For You page, but typically that's how it goes. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of steer away. I've started using Twitter a little more. I think Twitter is a good source of information if you're following the right people. And of course, when I say right, I mean, people who report news and not just what you want to hear. So yeah, I think I'm making that switch. And like I said, I want to focus more on YouTube, this long form content, because it also helps me practice, focusing on something for a long period of time, as opposed to making a TikTok in a minute, posting it and going for that instant gratification. What else? Sorry, there's no flow to this. I kind of like it though. The podcast sort of mindset of let's just talk about a few things, and wherever your mind goes, go with it. A lot of the ones that I watch that are successful kind of follow the same pattern. If anybody knows anything about producing music, hit me up, because I'm interested in kind of learning about it. I have a little bit of a music background, but I want to get into actually creating and sort of hosting studio time for people in my area. But if you know anything about producing music and sort of what you need, what it takes, I'm doing a little bit of research now, but it helps to hear from somebody who has experience. Okay, so sort of the more interesting stuff that happened this past month, obviously Roe v. Wade, right? The court leak, which some people are turning into they're like, how can we trust the Supreme Court? This is crazy. The validity is out the window. It's like, well, yeah, no duh. And it's probably honestly something to distract us from something else. But this idea of Roe v. Wade getting turned over is disgusting. And, even speaking as a man where a process like abortion or whatever it is not going to personally, physically affect me. It could mentally, but the fact that we are now in a place where we are dictating the rights of other people sounds pretty reminiscent of, times past that are stains on American history. And nothing is set in stone yet, but you have what comes from this is anxiety from the lack of leadership that we see in our country. And if you're a young person or, around my age, basically you're dealing with anxiety that what the fuck, nobody has any idea what's going on, or nobody can fix anything. And you have to remember that there is a sort of a wave coming of change soon. Hopefully. It's corny to say, but it quite literally is on us to vote and dole out people who want to follow, at least partly, their agenda of helping and being a representative of the people. I would recommend listening to TMG's podcast, Trillionaire Mindset. Those guys have really good takes on what's going on. On Twitter, you can follow No Lie with Tyler Cohen, I think it is. Another great resource. But yeah, I think it's cause for anxiety. And for the women of the world and anybody who has to go through this, I'm sorry. And I'm praying and hoping that it gets better. But it doesn't get better without a little bit of action. Remember this when primaries come up and midterms and things like that. There is a chance, hopefully, to codify and rectify the things going on. And don't be afraid of conversation. I actually had a conversation with a guy that I know from the past about, what it means to be on the other side, I guess, which would be pro-life. But, don't be afraid of the conversation. I didn't agree with a single thing he said, and it was fine for the most part. But also remember that there are some conversations that are quite literally not worth your time. Sort of a shorter episode today. This editing is going to be super easy, and I'm probably going to leave most of it in. But if anybody's interested in talking about certain topics, or if you want to be on one of these, hit me up. Again, follow Twitter, follow Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and thanks for watching.